Previously on the Great Ace Attorney 2 Resolved.
Oh my god!
Susato, with me!
Behold!
I'm there!
Oh my god! Ah! Oh, duel time!
Did I do it right? That was a Susato takedown, wasn't it? Not quite. that was a Ryotaro takedown.
Yeah!
And now back to
Legging it, people!
Hell!
it's NicoB. Back with some more The Great Ace Attorney 2 Resolve. We last left off. We completed the first case and it was awesome. It was really good. Damn, I loved Susato being the star of it, pretending to be a lawyer. A lot of funny gags in that regard. Seeing Soseki come back, as well as Hosonaga. The return of Ouchie, even that actually ended up being pretty fun. And ended with a hilarious, just hilariously cutting off his hair. Everyone was so solemn. And I don't know, it was a really, really great case to start off the game. And it's got me excited. And now we're heading off to a new one of seemingly a case that was never talked about before. I think, yeah, I don't know. I thought I remembered them bringing up something in the previous case with Soseki about the place being haunted, right? The building being haunted, or like he thought it was. But, you know, it was just not that. It wasn't that. He was just super superstitious and everything. But it kind of sounds like this is something different, right? He said, like, out of the two cases involved, right? We're gonna talk about the one that we didn't mention before, which is interesting. So it seems like we might be hopping back in time, potentially, to do another case where we have to get Soseki off for something, maybe? I don't know. I don't really know how it's gonna go about this. It's really kind of exciting. But I think clearly, though, we're gonna be hopping back to Naruhodo and probably Holmesy and Iris and get to see everybody. I remember the second case of the last game was also unique in that it didn't actually have a trial at all. It was just all done on board the ship, right? It was all pretty much investigation, but no like prosecution and defense this time, which was kind of cool as well. But yeah, ooh, I'm excited. I'm curious to see where this is gonna go. But anyway, last episode, Gruntmaster26 said, Susato,
Oh my gosh, you have a name?
Seishiro, of course I have a name. All judges have names, except the cursed judge.
Who's the cursed judge?
He's an ancient, powerful being who was cursed due to a grand misuse of his grand godly powers to have his name stricken and his powers diminished. He's now simply known as... Ah, dang it, someone's talking behind my back. Once I get out of this cave, silly me, I'm returning back to my judge bench, even if it takes 1,000 years. Susato. Sorry, this one really got me.
Such deep and dank origin story lore. I hope he gets along with my descendants.
Narrator, they in fact did not. This one got me so good. Oh my god. Such deep, dank story. I swear to God. Yes, the judge in all of his almighty glory, his beautiful, bodacious beard gives him the power of Turkey and God some shit. Hey, remember that one nightmare Phoenix hour where I was like this godly being and I was like, you shall not pass, Phoenix. Yeah, like smash with a hammer. Or was that the start of the second game? I think it was. That goofy ass shit. Yeah, I need that judge to come back. I want that to be the canon version of me. I'm gonna show up in a fighting game. I'll be instead of fucking Phoenix in the next Marvel vs. Capcom, it's gonna be the judge. Murder the fuck out of people. Anyway, Grandmaster, thank you so much for your truly hilarious comment. And it is for that reason you are comment of the day. By the way, I did see some of you guys say you enjoyed some of my voice acting for some of the characters like Minimimo and stuff for the past couple episodes. So thanks. I'm trying to step up my like voice acting game a little bit. I think I'm at least getting relatively better at it. I haven't been doing this stuff for a while now, but it's nice to see at least there's been some good progress on that front. And it always helps too if it's a game I'm really invested in, you know? If it's something that I'm like super engaged with already, it's a lot easier to really go in on character moments and stuff. So, but thank you. I'm glad you guys are enjoying it. But okay, so we're gonna be heading on to case 2. I imagine this game is probably 5 cases long, like most of the previous games. I think
Of all the cases or all the games in the series, I think the only case or game that was like 6, well, no, some of the other games were 6 cases long too, and it's usually like DLC, right? Like the first Ace Attorney had the Emma Sky, like actually her first appearance was in that one. But then there's like the whale case from Dual Destinies. Oh, there was that one as well in Spirit of Justice with the blimp or something. So it seems like generally it's 5 cases with maybe a DLC case. Actually, you know what'd be really cool is if they ended up coming out with a DLC case for this series, you know? But like, you know, one that didn't exist. Like they went and added a brand new case for like this series, right? And this game, originally came out like in Japan many years ago. So that would be kind of a cool little thing, and also a reason for even the Japanese players to check it out. So, all right. So case 2, Memoirs of the Cloud of Kokoro. Let's get started. I see you, Holmesy. I see you in the background there. Memoirs of the Clouded Kokoro. So that's this little house there.
It was a ghastly tale of a winter's night. One of an invisible killer and a crime perpetrated on the pavement along Briar Road. As the victim lay at death's door, the mystery of just who had stabbed the young lady from behind had been resolved. But no sooner had my friend saved that Eastern Exchange student from his harrowing plight,
Yeah, that was the previous case.
then in the dim, flickering shadows of gaslight did a second bizarre crime rend the stillness of that very night.
Is that Holmesy's voice
I dare
actor?
say most can still recall the sensational headlines of the day. Haunted apartment of death, the condemned criminal's curse, the dread demon of coal gas. Yet, though the great detective had at once discerned the truth upon his arrival at the scene, it only proved to be the overture that announced the rising of the curtain on a most tragic play.
Yeah, basically this case is going to play into the bigger picture here, right?
My name is Ryonosky Naruhoto. I'm a fledgling lawyer, just starting out on my journey. 6 months ago, I was here at the Soseki as I arrived as a visiting student of law, having made the long voyage across the sea from the Empire of Japan to here, London, England. And on the way, in quite extraordinary circumstances, I made the acquaintance of a world-famous detective and a weirdo. Currently, I reside in the attic of the detective's own lodgings, from where I run my legal consultancy of sorts.
Wow, look at this place all beautiful in HD.
I successfully defended a number of clients in Britain's highest court, the Old Bailey.
I swear to God, this looks a lot better. I mean, I don't think I'm imagining it. I know it looked good in the original one we played as well, but there's even like a bit of a bokeh effect with like some depth perception here. I don't remember that. I don't know. The assets and everything just seem a lot sharper here.
But since a particularly grueling and unforgettable legal battle 4 months ago now, I haven't returned to the courtroom. In truth, I lost my right to return. But that epic trial was just one small part of an epic tale. A tale which was now about to awaken from slumber. Thanks to a letter that arrived this morning from my homeland, from Susan Out!
Damn. Naruhodo, you let one loose? What happened?
Am I hungry? Hungy. What delicious smell wafting up the stairs. It must be nearly time for breakfast. I better go down to Mr. Holmes' suite and say good morning to the great detective and his flatmate.
Oh God, get ready, guys, for the return of the greatest character theme in all of gaming. August 30th, 7:28 a.m., home suite.
Oh,
Runo. So that's okay. Also, Iris. Oh my God. I love Iris. I love her design. She's so cute. Aren't she still gonna shoot Naruhodo in the face? So she called him, so she's calling him Runo here. I think the fan translation had her calling him Ryu, right? But Runo's kind of cute. I'll roll with that.
Oh, Runo, good. I was just about to call up to you. The bacon's ready. Good morning, Iris. It smells delicious as usual. Before we eat, though, I have some news. I have surprises. Shh, Not another word, Mr. Naruhodo. This could be just the abstruse thing for my pre-breakfast stagnation repelling mental stimulation, my dear fellow. Morning to you, Mr. Holmes. Ah, yes. I see. That's it. Ah! The truth is as clear to me as day. My faculties of observation have revealed it again. What are you talking about? You, Mr. Naruhodo, you have this very morning met with a surprise. Well, is that not the case? Damn it, his theme hasn't kicked in yet. I'm like, wait for him, like, oh, come on, hit me with it. Really, my dear fellow, it barely warrants explanation. Firstly, your hair is particularly unkempt, somewhat reminiscent of a bird's nest. Secondly, you have neglected to fasten the third button of your jacket. Clearly, when considered together, these two facts point to you having been flustered this morning.
Yeah, damn. Everyone's sprite looks fucking great too. Jesus Christ, or their character models.
Can I talk now? But of course, though I don't look for admiration, you understand. My hair always looks like this. It's been this way since I first met you. Oh, it has? And the button was ripped off last night, if you remember. By you?
Hurley. Okay, now that I remember from the Scarlet Study one, she called him Holmesy. Hurley. Oh, so Herlock Sholmes, so she's going Hurley for the Hurl. Yeah, I guess the Herlock is Hurley. I guess if that were the case, then the Scarlet Study translation would have been Shirley. Shirley. Definitely don't like. I mean, then again, this is playing off his fucking abused name, his dumbass name. I'm gonna go to the Scarlet Study version. I liked Holmesy a lot, so I'm gonna go back to that one. Hopefully that's all right. Bruno's kind of funny and cute, but I think Hurley burly dirtly sounds a little funky to me. So
Holmesy pulled your button off.
Ah, yes, I recall that incident now. It was after supper, was it not? As the evening advanced, I picked up my violin and began to play the wailing notes of a haunting tune. But then, to my utter dismay, the third string snapped. Why did it have to happen? Why? Little wonder then that in my vexation, I grabbed the first button I saw and ripped it from its proper place. Well, I'd like it back now, please. It's troubling me that I can't fasten my jacket. And it's troubling me that you expect me to know where it is. Somewhere thereabouts on the floor, one presumes. Helpful. What matters at the present time, my dear fellow, is simply whether or not my deduction was unerring.
But Holmesy, Rudo said it when he came in, didn't he? I had a surprise this morning.
Well, that really is a surprise.
Yes, this man is the pride of the British Empire, the famous consulting detective, Mr. Sherlock Holmes. Hoo-ha-ya! Can't be a single person in the world who doesn't know his dumb, jank, localized name, all because of the Conan Doyles.
All right then, enough of this silly Billy conversation. Come and eat this bacon before it goes cold. And I have a new herbal tea for you to try too, my latest special blend.
I look forward to hearing her voice actress as well. I'm guessing at some point. Actually, when are we gonna hear those then? I guess in cutscenes? I think I saw you guys say that this game actually was made a bit on a budget, so there actually are not any animated cutscenes. Oh, yeah, that's probably it then. Because I'm guessing that scene at the start of the game would have originally been fully animated. Though to be honest, it looked fucking great anyway. They did it all in engine instead. But that's what that scene specifically was voice acted.
And here we have Iris Wilson, Mr. Holmes's lodger and companion. A truly exceptional young girl who's the author of a highly successful serialization here in London. Yes, The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, as published in Rance magazine.
Okay, Rance. That's the same as the Scarlet Study translation.
So, Mr. Naruhodo, won't you put us out of our misery? What surprised you this fine morning? Well, I received a letter from Japan.
Oh, from Susie.
Okay, that's the same.
Oh, from Susie, you mean? Was it really?
That's right, and she has some rather startling news, in fact. Ah, intriguing indeed. You must tell us all about it over breakfast.
Oh yes, what fun!
Hey, but first, I gotta look around your amazing estate here, because there's gonna be a fucking shit ton of fluff dialogue to look at here. Here we go.
Ah yes, the huge metal chest with the lace cloth laid on it, being used as a table for tea and coffee. It's very sturdy, that's for sure, and firmly locked shut.
That chest contains my father's detailed records of Holmesy's many cases.
Yes, so I've been led to believe, though personally I've never actually seen inside.
And that's the way it will stay. Those papers are a secret between Daddy and me. If you go opening it uninvited, you might find yourself being bitten.
Oh god, there comes the gut.
I'm gonna shoot you, Ryu!
What? Is there a beast inside there or something?
Gonna shoot you right in the doodle!
Not my doodle, please.
Oh, wait, no, Runo. I have to get used to Runo. I don't know, maybe I'll stick with Ryu as well, just because I'm kind of used to it as well. I'm sorry, that's just how I am, okay? I get stuck on, like, autopilot for some things, and I just start, like, saying what I said before all the time, which is why I continue to say things wrong for many, many years.
When it gets to this time of year, Londoners seem to leave their hearts alight all day long, and I love it. There's something very relaxing about watching the flames flit and dance about. But a fireplace in days of summertime is a waste of space. Really, no use at all.
Rather like a great detective in days of no crimes and no criminals, Holmesy?
But consider this. Instead of a fireplace, a frost place. That's my latest idea. An extraordinary hearth from which emanates a cool breeze in the hot summer months. What do you think? I think if you invented such a thing, your name would go down in history.
It's an AC.
The principle is extremely simple. One must, of course, light a coal fire in the hearth. Yes, of course, brilliant. The trouble is, none of the fires I build ever burn cold. How taunts me. So, as you British say, it's a bit of a damp squid.
Oh shit, it's a bit of a sticky wicket. Don't you mock me, Naruhodo.
Sorry. Oh, it's goofy shit. These are different pieces of evidence from cases you solved, aren't they, Mr. Holmes? Not quite, Mr. Naruhodo, not quite. These trinkets are a selection from cases I've solved with particular aplomb. A plume? A plume. They are souvenirs of my success. Memories, Mr. Naruhodo, memories. Really? So tell me about the case in which the bust of Napoleon featured. I forget. Memories, he says. Wonderful, Mr. Holmes, wonderful.
I love the iteration of Holmes in this game. It's pretty great. And I love voicing him.
Books, paper, scientific implements. These shelves are stuffed to the gunnels. Miss Susato wouldn't be able to help herself if she were here. She can't stand mess.
Susie might not be able to stand the mess, but she wouldn't dare touch those shelves.
Oh, why not?
Everything's in an intricate balance. Holmesy spends ages on it. If you were to touch even one thing, the whole lot would come tumbling down. Susie knows there was a very delicate arrangement right from the outset.
You make it sound like a meeting of great minds. But the truth is, Mr. Holmes just needs to tidy up. Don't you touch that. I swear to God, Naruhodo, I will disown you.
Oh, interesting. I can't actually examine the holes in the wall up there. It's actually, I just actually realized there's actually not joystick sensitivity here for the, I'm like trying to make this thing go slow, but I can't. I can't use the D-pad, by the way, because the D-pad is what I used to look around. I kind of feels like the controller might have been sort of like an afterthought, which explains why they don't have like the buttons in here. It just has keys, because there's no like, yeah, it's like no sensitivity off the joysticks. Like, oh God. But yeah, I can't seem to actually examine the spot where he shot up here, but I could in the first game, which is, I actually think it's good because it means we're not really getting repeating fluff dialogue.
Ah yes, Mr. Holmes' faithful musical companion. Was this violin made by somebody famous?
Yes, it's a Stradivarius. Though I'm afraid you'd have to save up for 100 years before you can afford one, Runo.
But didn't you buy it for a song, Mr. Holmes? I found it at a pawnbrokery among the forfeited articles. It clearly said Stradivarius on the label. What? The ignorant broker had no idea of its true value, you see, so I paid a mere 55 shillings for it. Yes, I have something of a turn for shopping. Sherlock Holmes, bargain hunter. But is it really a Stradivarius then? But of course, my dear fellow, it says so on the label. I think perhaps the ignorant broker had something of a turn for selling.
Yes, this big goofy device that we never use for anything, right?
That machine really is imposing, isn't it? But I can never remember its name.
Holmesy calls it his great analytoscope. It can analyze anything at all.
That doesn't really help me. What does analyzing something even mean? Ah, an extremely astute question, Mr. Naruhodo. Sorry? Well, as Iris said, my machine here spits out analysis results of anything with which you could care to present. But how to interpret those results, that's the key. And I confess I have no idea. Clearly, I'm going to have to construct a great analytoscope to solve the problem. That might not help.
Yeah, it's actually surprising lack of, I think I remember, it makes sense, right? I remember the first time it was like literally everything was examinable. This actually has less, but it's because it's the same place we've been at before, and I, for one, couldn't be happier.
Ooh, we got a tea set though. I look forward to finding out what aroma your tea will have, Iris, every single day.
Ah, well, I have to use a different concoction of herbs from the garden every time, so it's never the same twice.
When you call it a concoction, it sounds more like a science experiment that's something for tea time.
Oh, yes, that's because different blends can have very different properties. Some calm you down, some make you feel jolly, some give you energy. Today's particular blend is something quite special. You're really in for a treat.
That sounds ominous.
Here's where she writes her little articles.
I can tap with my eyes shut, you know.
I can believe it. When a deadline's approaching, you sound like a Gatling gun.
That reminds me of a dream I had the other day. It was such a funny one. It woke me, actually. I was tapping for a whole hour in the pitch black, but I didn't make a single mistake.
That's incredible.
But then, when it got light, I found that there wasn't any paper in the machine.
Oh.
Now I wonder if I'd actually been typing at all.
I think you might just fall asleep on the job.
Oh God, what a horribly erotic nightmare.
There's so many different bottles up there on the charming little set of white shelves.
Oh, do be careful, Rudo. You mustn't try the contents of any of those bottles, even if you're hungry.
I wouldn't do something stupid like that. I'm not a child, you know.
Well, I wish I could say the same for Holmesy. The other day, he polished off a full bottle of one of my alkaloids.
He what?
He said he was hungry.
I'll be extra careful. But it was delicious. Ah, yes, this is where you note down ideas, isn't it, Iris? What's in the melting pot today? The blue carbuncle.
Yes, it's from a case of theft that Holmesy solved ages ago. The theft of a precious stone. A carbuncle is another name for a garnet, you see. It's received its cuff with a rounded top. It's also a summon in Final Fantasy that tends to put reflect on you, and is kind of useless. Except for Final Fantasy VII Remake Carbuncle, that one's fucking godlike. But I'm getting off topic.
Oh, really? And this garnet was blue, was it?
Well, that's the thing. They're usually red. No blue garnets have ever been discovered.
I thought they were, really? Oh wait, did I read that wrong? Oh, garnet, yeah.
Carbuncle is another name for garnet. I did not know. I actually thought that was something different. Interesting. Oh.
So who knows what the stolen gemstone actually was?
Sapphire?
That's the real mystery of the case.
A proper Sherlock Holmes conundrum, huh?
This might be it, actually. Yep, seems to be. Oh yeah, what we got in here?
My armband. I heard from Soseki. Identifies the wearer as a defense lawyer throughout the Empire of Japan.
Oh, so you have scale balances in Japan, do you?
Well, yes, but nothing like the Old Bailey's huge example.
The thing about those scales is they're only ever in the balance right at the start of a trial, aren't they? Otherwise, they always seem to be hanging one way or the other.
I noticed that exact same thing.
That's a good point, actually. Oh, hey. Oh! That's cool. it keeps the Japanese there, but then it actually translates it on the bottom.
Oh, is this Japanese kanji script embroidered here?
That's right. The name of the armband's owner.
Ah, so that's how you write Naruhodo, is it?
Actually, no. It's my best friend's name, not mine. It's pronounced Kazuma Sogi.
Oh, hey, they spell Sogi without the U in it in this game.
I actually believe this armband in some way embodies his spirit, you know?
So you have to write all those lines just for one person's name. Kanji is funny, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And yes, he is. Persona 4 kanji.
That's right. Never mind my feelings about my best friend. It's lines I really want to talk about.
Yeah, that's funny. I'll have to get used to that now. Used to the spelling of with the U in there. I actually wonder then, what is the, like, why is it that the same thing was with Soseki, right? Instead of having a U in his, that they spelled it with the O. And I'm kind of curious why that is. Like, how did that come to be? How did it come to be that Scarlet Study had his name spelled one way and this one spelled it another way? Is it just like a dialect thing? Like translation thing? I mean, I imagine that other people have a name, Sogi, right? Maybe that's it. Maybe there's like literally just two different spellings of these names, right? So, and you don't really know what spelling it is in English. Maybe it's just as simple as that. Okay, I think we're good. Let's go back to talking about stuff. Oh, wait, I gotta do it. You always gotta present it.
Behold! Oh, Mr. Holmes, about this. Shh, not another word. Ah, yes, I see. This would be a collar for a breed of miniature canine with a particularly long neck. And for winter use. Actually, it's the armband I always wear that symbolizes my role as a defense lawyer and is from my dead best friend. And this is the 30th time we've had this conversation. Precisely, which leads us to but one conclusion. Your arm is, in fact, the particularly long neck of a miniature canine. I'm starting to wish I'd never shown him this now. Man's barking mad. Barking mad! I love it! It's a letter that arrived from Japan this morning by international post.
Oh, how lovely. Look at Susie's beautiful writing. I wish I could read it.
And how is your judicial assistant faring, may I ask? She's very well, thank you. In fact, according to what she's written, she actually appeared as a lawyer at the Japanese Supreme Court and won a case.
Oh, really? Oh, isn't she wonderful?
I got above your good self, my dear fellow. I've won cases too, you know. My last one was pretty epic. Apparently, Mr. Natsume appeared in the trial as a witness. Natsume. No, I don't recall that name. Of course you do. We helped the man twice. You know, in those
two cases
that took place on Briar Road 6 months ago.
Okay, yeah, so it is absolutely 100% a separate second case. Oh my God. Jesus Christ, Soseki really did not. No wonder he hated his time here.
Ah, the mustachioed twitchy man with the somewhat feline eyes and the mustache.
He didn't have two mustaches, Holmesy.
I just felt like reiterating it, okay? Yes, who could forget those two cases? They made a very deep impression on me. Although I must confess, the details are a little hazy now. A very deep impression they made on you, clearly. Startling news. So, what was this startling news penned by Miss Susato? Do you remember the case of the haunted lodgings, Mr. Holmes? Ah, yes. It's very interesting, you know. I don't feel entirely uncertain that a case of that nature did not occur. He's totally forgotten then. Anyway, in her letter, Miss Susato asked that we read over her case notes again and investigate further. Though it took place half a year ago, for what purpose? Because of something that Mr. Natsume said to her, apparently. He suggested that the real reason why she was called back to Japan was so suddenly might have something to do with that case of the haunted lodgings. Oh? On Mr. Natsume's return to Japan, Miss Susato's father questioned him about the case, she says. And something Mr. Natsume said appeared to trouble Professor Mikotoba, prompting him to send that telegram.
Oh, that case, yes. It was very strange, wasn't it?
Yes. Just like all our cases, though. But aren't they all?
And I had compiled the whole story into a nice, neat manuscript ready for publication, too. But then Holmesy here was all funny about it, remember? He was very mean. That story must not be published, you said. Very mysteriously as well.
Really? I said that? Are you sure? You know, I sort of think the I can't remember if he actually said this in the previous game, but I do remember from the original Sherlock Holmes stories where the reason why he's so forgetful about things is that he will basically anything that isn't like that could be used for later cases and stuff, he like discards from his brain, right? And he just focuses on the here and now and what is around him and what he can actually use. So like there was like a point where like Watson brought up to him that like, oh, the earth is round and not flat or something, right? And he's like, oh, wow, what an interesting fact. I'm going to immediately discard that from my memory bank. And he's like, why would you do that? What? That's a really basic thing that anyone should be aware of. And he's like, you know, unless it's something that's going to help me with a case, which in this case, I'm pretty sure astronomy will not. Blah, 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 blah. You know, I don't even know if it was necessarily that specific detail, but it was something like a really basic thing that anyone should know, right? And I think it's the same idea here as well.
Do you perhaps know something about it as well, Mr. Holmes? About why Miss Susto was suddenly told 4 months ago that she had to return Japan?
Miss Susto's repatriation.
It's been 4 months now since we waved Susie off at Dover. It was such a shock, wasn't it? The way she just suddenly announced that she had to go back to Japan.
Indeed it was, due to a telegram she received from her homeland, I believe. That's right, telling her to return urgently. Yes, because her father had passed away. No, it was just he was suffering from a high fever, that cause of which was unknown. He's not dead. But according to this letter, that news about her father's fever was just a ruse.
A ruse? So Susie's daddy lied to her so that she'd make the voyage back home? Why would he do that?
I have to admit, I have absolutely no idea. But she believes it's almost certainly related to the case of the haunted lodgings. Summoning her back to Japan so suddenly like that. Wonder what Miss Susto's father is hiding.
Holmesy, do you know what it's all about?
Oh, and I've got my clothes on. Oh, well, who could say?
What? But you said...
Please, I have engagements, my dear fellow. My calendar is quite surprisingly full today. Oh, here it comes. Oh, that's what I was waiting for, baby. I love it.
And a stringent analysis of the matter would be excessive, I feel, if I were quite at leisure. So, man the fault of my absence, won't you, Iris?
I will, Holmesy, don't worry. See you later.
I bid you both adieu. Bye. He sculled off rather quickly there. I think perhaps Professor Mikotoba is the only person hiding something here. Soseki-san was involved in 2 cases, but only one of them was forbidden from being published. By of all people, Mr. Holmes.
Aha! I found them at last.
Iris, are they...
The notes about the case, that's right. Susie and I compiled them together. The case of the haunted lodgings. Do you want to read them, Bruno?
Absolutely. Thank you, Iris. I have no idea what secrets could still be hiding in the shadows of this case, but perhaps if I read over the notes again, something might come to light.
That's the spirit.
Just gonna hop back.
And so, Iris and I decided to read over the case notes again together. Everything from what happened to our investigation and that fierce battle in court that followed. Reliving every detail. I just need to find a clue, and I have all the time in the world. Because of course, I'm no longer allowed to practice law in the courts of Great Britain.
Wait, what? Wait, huh? Was that something that got brought up at the end of the last case? I don't remember that. Or is that a new plot point that hasn't been brought up? I don't remember that being as a result of the previous case.
It was 6 months ago, a mysterious incident that unfolded on the wintry streets of London.
It's not this case. This case actually, I believe, is taking place before even the final case of the last game, I think. Unless there's another case from 4 months ago that we didn't see, and that caused him to not be able to practice law here in Great Britain. Oh wait, no. Okay, no, we're hopping back first to this one. Yes.
A young,
Very rotund woman.
was lying on the snowy pavement on Briar Road with a knife in her back. Fortunately, her life was spared, but she was unconscious for several days following the incident.
I do say,
The fog was thick, and nobody saw her attack her, but by a cruel twist of fate, a visiting Japanese student was walking behind her at the time and was duly arrested. That man was Soseki-san, and the man who effected his arrest was Mr. Holmes. Believing in our compatriot's innocence, Suzuto-san and I decided to represent Soseki-san in court. And after a grueling trial of many twists and turns, we finally managed to prove his innocence.
joyful, joyous, jubilant, jubilation!
Was the man's reaction after the trial, but his jubilant jubilation was short-lived.
For yet again.
Received a telegram from Mr. Holmes the following morning.
Oh, the following morning?
The victim of the Briar Road stabbing has regained consciousness. Hurry to Bart's at once. So Suzuto-san and I summoned
A handsome? Handsome? That must be like a carriage or something? A garage? Never heard of that word before.
and head immediately to the hospital. You so handsome.
Interesting. Oh, God, it's a giant rat. Yeah, we actually never got a chance to talk to her either. And yeah, now I think about it, that case did kind of end in sort of a weird place as well. Where, yeah, we like that, the victim who didn't die, right? But we never got to hear, like, anything about her side of the story because she never woke up at the time. Interesting. Okay. February 21st, 5:30 a.m., St. Bartholomew's Hospital, Recovery Ward.
There you are at last. Good morning, Mr. Holmes.
I think not.
Oh,
You're late. What on earth took you so long?
your telegram only arrived at 5 o'clock, Mr. Holmes, and it's a 20-minute ride to the hospital.
I always love Suzuto's little thinking face. It's so cute.
That's right, and it's 5:30 now. I think it'll be a very good time. The time is utterly irrelevant. The fact is, I have been waiting for what has felt like an eternity. In point of fact, I myself was awoken at 4 this morning by a telegram boy. And feeling it was somewhat unjust that I alone had been roused at such an hour, I sent one to you. Well, thanks for that. Anyway, you're here now, so the victim is over there. She's only just regained consciousness.
That little chunky woman. She's so round. I remember there was an old lady, right? That was sort of round as well. Didn't we like sort of like think that, I don't know, like it could have been her or something. I can't remember exactly how that played into the events, but there was something like we kind of mistook her for the victim at one point, or could have. I think it was to put doubt onto like one of the jurors' like contentions or something, right? Because she is kind of the same size and shape.
You should introduce yourselves, and I shall observe from here.
What is that weird statue in the back?
So that's the lady who was found on the snow-covered pavement with a knife in her back.
Her name is, yes, here we are, Miss Green.
Just Miss Green? Hasn't been added yet. Okay, Iris, that's right. Iris is 10. Holmes is 34. Suzuto is 16. What in the world is this?
This rounded wooden figure isn't the most charming, is it?
I don't think that's a decoration, Mr. Naruhodo. It's an artist's mannequin, I believe, used when practicing sketching the human form in different poses.
It's a chunky one.
Really? It's not exactly what you call a typical figure for that purpose, though, is it?
No, I suppose not. I confess I've never seen one quite so full-figured before.
Well, if you want to draw a full-figure person, it's the right tool for the job.
Chunky.
Look, there's a photograph in this frame here.
Oh yes, it's a picture of a young gentleman.
I'm guessing her son.
He looks to be about the same age as Miss Green, I would say.
Oh, really?
Perhaps the young woman's special someone, do you think?
Oh, really? I kind of want to figure she was older, but maybe not. No, maybe not. I think she's just a chunky young lass.
My, Mr. Naruhodo. I didn't know you had a sense for the matters of the heart.
Not in the least. I sincerely said the first thing I thought of.
She been an artist herself?
This looks like the patient's treatment notes. Let's see. Do not feed. What is this place, a zoo?
You know, I seem to remember seeing an almost identical sign in our local park.
For the pigeons, yes. This is a person. That's mean. Poor woman, hope she hasn't read this.
Oh my god, that is horribly mean. What the fuck? Ah!
Eek! A mouse, Mr. Naruhodo! An enormous mouse.
Vermin in a hospital? That doesn't seem the best. He's eating her breakfast, too.
It looks like a very healthy specimen, doesn't it? It's very plump.
I'm not sure we can say that's down to the excellence of this facility, if that's what you were thinking.
She got a big old bag. It's like almost as big as she is.
That must be a bag of Miss Green's personal belongings.
She would have been brought directly here after she was found stabbed on the pavement, though.
I expect a friend or family member probably brought some things for her.
Alrighty then, let's see what's inside. A change of clothes, no doubt, and...
No, Mr. Naruhodo, you must never scrutinize a young maiden's personal belongings.
But the young maiden might have chocolates or biscuits or caramel. Caramel. There are lots of bottles in that cabinet, aren't there? Do you think it's safe to keep them like that?
If you were a patient here, I feel sure you took some medicine by mistake when you were asleep.
That is a worry, but at least the cabinet has a lock, even if it's only a flimsy-looking one.
Oh, I've no doubt you managed to unlock that somehow while you were asleep. Half asleep as well.
There are limits even to what I can do when I'm half asleep, you know, Miss Suzuto.
Okay, I think, well, I guess I could just look at her, can't I?
Good morning.
Good, she seems very nervous, doesn't she? Well, honestly, if I were stabbed in the back, I'd probably be pretty nervous too.
Hello, I'm a Ryonosky Naruhoto from the Empire of Japan.
Oh no, was it your knife that... Are you the man who...
No, I'm a lawyer.
I am Suzuto Nikitoba. Pleased to meet you. Oh no, was it your knife then? Are you the ones... No, I assure you, I'm Mr. Naruhodo's judicial assistant.
Yes, we're back to finish the job. We just in broad daylight.
We heard that you regained consciousness and want to come and give you our best wishes. Best wishes? For me? Thank you. I'm Olive Green. I'm an artist. Well, no, that's not right, is it? What I mean is I'm trying to be an artist. Well, what I really mean is I just really want to be an artist. But the truth is, I don't have any talent. I know I don't. It's no wonder I was stabbed in the back.
I don't think that's related, actually.
She got a big old key or something around her neck.
Gosh, this young woman seems to bend over backwards to put herself down.
Seeing as we're here, we should ask her about what happened from her perspective, I suppose. To suddenly be struck in the back by a blade as you were walking along the pavement, what a terrible experience you had, Miss Green.
It was so cold that day, and the fog was so thick, I couldn't see a thing. That was 4 days ago now, I think. Isn't that right? Yes, that's right. I'm afraid you've been comatose all that time. But the case has been solved, hasn't it? Well, I've been here in hospital, I mean.
Indeed it has, my dear madam. Spectacularly by none other than I, Sherlock Holmes.
Mr. Holmes, as you well know, it was Mr. Naruhodo's hard work in court that solved the case.
Are you yet to hear what happened, Miss Green?
Yes, I'm afraid so. A gentleman from the police force is supposed to be coming to fill me in shortly. Oh, I see. Me coming round seems to have made everyone frantically busy. I'm so sorry. I should never have regained consciousness. It was selfish in me.
What? Oh my god, stop. You're making me feel bad, lady.
Oh no. We're all so relieved that you're on the mend, Miss Green. Really, we are.
That kind of attitude, maybe your surname should be blue, not green.
Wah, wah.
So, you're an artist, are you, Miss Green?
Oh no, I couldn't possibly claim that. I'm a fledgling artist at best. I mean, I'm a student of art, really, at the Thorndike Academy of Fine Arts.
Oh my, an Academy of Fine Arts. Great Britain is such a wonderful country.
Tell me, Miss Green, do you live hereabouts?
Oh no, actually, I don't deserve it, but I have a little flat on Brixton Road.
I see. How very interesting.
Oh no, is it?
Brixton is some 10 stops away on the underground from here. And Thorndike Academy is a mere 3-minute walk from Brixton Town Center. Does that matter, Mr. Holmes? Perhaps not, but Briar Road is a far less salubrious part of town by comparison, dwelt in by those of inferior means, including the maleficent Mr. Moustache. Inferior means? I suppose Soseki-san does fit that bill. Excuse me! It struck me as somewhat out of the ordinary for a young fine arts student to be walking in such a district. That's all. What's this? She suddenly clammed up.
Mr. Holmes, you should be ashamed of yourself, prying into a young maiden's private affairs.
Oh, dear me. Do forgive me.
If you don't mind. I'm being discharged shortly, so I need to pack up my things.
Oh, yes, of course. We won't keep you. Thank you so much, Miss Green. Bye.
She said the little rat was her pet.
Is there Mr. Naruhoto here? Mr. Naruhoto here?
Hero fodder now. Well, if you're looking for Naruhodo, the lawyer, that's me, but...
Oh, Mr. Naruhoto, good. Here's for you. Here's a message from Mr. Saucy Nutmeg.
Saucy Nutmeg.
Mr. Natsume sent a message to me?
Why would a policeman be delivering a message from Mr. Natsume?
Exactly. What's going on?
I'm in jail again. Sorry.
Is this Scotland Yard constable playing delivery boy at this time in the morning? Ah, what are you waiting for? Let me see that. Oh! Well, this is most unexpected. Is something wrong, Mr. Holmes? Is something wrong, Mr. Holmes, he says. Have you not seen this note? No, how could I have? It would seem that London's criminals have no intention of letting the great detective rest. A new case calls, a case of murder no less. We must depart at once.
Murder?
Call a cab. Time is of the essence. But the trouble is, we've yet to read Mr. Natsume's note. I was thinking we ought to pay him a visit in his lodgings once we did. That will be entirely convenient.
Convenient? What do you mean?
It's all here in the note, my dear fellows. The murder we must investigate took place at Mr. Mustache's lodgings. Wait, what?
I'll hail a fiacre. Oh,
What is this now? First a handsome and now a fiacre? 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 I have no idea. I have no idea what that is, or how do you pronounce it?
I'll hail a fiacre at once. I'm just trying, okay? I'm trying my best here.
It was only yesterday Soseki-san was in court and we were dispelling doubts about his innocence. And now, the very next day, there's a murder at the man's own address. He may very well be the unluckiest man alive. Or so it seemed to us at the time, but we were soon to discover it was worse than we thought.
I like how future Naruhodo's commenting on this too. That's cool.
I'm also the narrator.
February 21st, 7:18 a.m. Mr. Natsume's lodgings, ground floor. Ow. Wait a minute. Oh my God. Is that who I fucking think it is? For a second I was like, wait a minute. Have we seen this guy before? And I was like, no, I don't think I have. Wait a minute. No, I think we have. I remember there was a character, and I think it was this case involving Soseki that showed up for, I swear to God, literally all of 5 fucking seconds. And it seemed like just like the most random, like non sequitur. I can't remember the circumstances that you showed up in. It was so brief.
Was he just like a guy, like, were we like investigating? He was just some guy on the sidewalk or something that we talked to? I think it was. I think we were just investigating and there was like literally a guy and we talked to him and I'm like, oh, he's gonna, oh yeah, I think it was. I think it was just a guy like on the sidewalk and I saw him and I went, oh, this is the killer, right? This is actually the killer. And he doesn't show up in the case at all. Nothing, he doesn't get mentioned at all. Nothing happens with him. And I was like, I think at one point at the end of the case, I went, wait a minute. What was that one guy from before? What, you're telling me they made a full character sprite with like some ridiculous, he had like insane animations too. And I was like, for what? For this random NPC guy? Why? And I was so confused. Oh, fuck. And I think that's his dead, lifeless body right there. What the hell? What on earth?
Oh my, the gentleman is deceased without question. He's dead.
He's motherfucking dead.
Look up, student Mr. Naruhodo, Esquire. Mr. Asumi, aw, what did you do this time, Soseki-san?
Oh, why is this happening? Why to me? I've only just got out of court yesterday. I was finally home after 2 days of mystery. And then I wake up the next day to this. No early bird should catch a worm like this. Woeful worm without wiggle.
I see you're in high spirits again this morning, Mr. Mustache.
Ah! Not the horrible Sherlock Holmes. Shove off. Show yourself the door. I never invited you.
Mr. Holmes came here with us.
That's right. That's right. Holmes, Seki fucking hates Holmes. Kind of rightfully so, because honestly, Holmes is kind of just like an asshole to him at all times.
I'm quite sure he'll be able to help you, Mr. Natsume.
No, it's just gonna make things worse. I know it.
I'm entirely at your disposal, Mr. Mustache. What can I do for you?
Hey! Your name is still Gregson. You're not like Megson or some shit? Hey, you still got your fish and chips. Here they are already. Oh, busybodies. Inspector Gregson. Okay. I guess his copyright must have run out or whatever, right? Is that why they're able to use his actual name here? Unless his first name's different.
Ah, Inspector Gregson, what a pleasant surprise.
Pleasant, is it? Give me a heartburn every time I see your face at a crime scene, Holmes.
Ha! I deduce, Inspector, that your heartburn is a result of your excessive consumption of fried food. Good morning, Inspector.
This is a crime scene. Don't you go touching anything.
Or good morning to you too, Sunshine.
Oh, shit. Wow. Wait. Can I look at my record here? Is this going to relate back to her then, I guess? She's still included here. An art student whose ambition is to become an artist. She's just regained consciousness after having been comatose for days after suffering a stab wound to the back. So it does sort of seem like it's not like a completely separate case, right? It seems to be riding off the back of the previous case as well, which is very interesting. Because again, this whole game in a lot of ways is riding off the back of the previous game, which is what makes it so, at least to me personally, super engaging and interesting. Because no Ace Attorney game's ever done that. Natsume, he's 33, a Japanese scholar sent to London to further his research in the English language. He's just been acquitted for a very serious crime. Gregson's 44. The detective, oh, Tobias Gregson. No, that's it. That's his name. Sick. Yeah. Cool. Well, good. I don't have to try to remember whenever time I see your fake name to switch it to your real name. I don't have to think too hard every time his name pops up in a message box. The detective inspector in charge of Scotland Yard's investigation of the case. He's stern and single-minded in his approach and a great lover of fish and chips. He's got some pretty great animations. Oh boy. Oi! Hey, I said hands off. You're gonna mess up my crime scene.
Oh, no, I just want to look, that's all.
No chance. I know you're kind. You'll mess it up just by looking at it.
Someone's in a bad mood. There's certainly some bad air in here, isn't there? All right, sounds like I better talk to the inspector first and try to curry some favor. Would you like some fish and chips, sir?
Do I look like I need some fish and chips?
Yes.
Good, give me some.
So, Inspector, what was the victim's name? Who was he?
Mr. What? William Shamspear? I think I mean, it's not, I mean, it's a play on William Shakespeare, obviously, but I also don't think it's actually suggesting this was William Shakespeare. I'm pretty sure William Shakespeare was not murdered. I think that's just a play on it because it's like, his name is Shamspeare, like a sham. It's like a fake Shakespeare. I don't think actually got the name for that guy though. The guy that we ran into, who I'm pretty sure that this is. So I can't say, oh, is it the same as Scarlet Study person? I think it's, I don't think we ever actually got his name. He was that seemingly inconsequential at the time.
Mr. William Shamspeare. He was the lodger here. As you can probably tell, he was an actor. Bit of a dead loss as it happens. Or just dead. Waka waka.
Mr. Shamspeare.
He was the landlord. Old Mr. Garrett and the other lodger, Mr. Natsume, found him.
All right, Garrett, that's the same as well.
The fella didn't rise at his usual hour, so Garrett got word and kicked down the door.
But doesn't Mr. Garrett have a bad leg?
Oh yeah, you're right there. It's just that jittery Japanese hunchback over there who actually did the kicking.
Really? Soseki-san?
The victim was pretty hard up, seems. Even done some time inside for petty crimes. He had no money, no place to go, no friends. His only acquaintances were the people in his house. Miserable life, and a miserable end to it.
So, what exactly is Mr. Natsume still doing here? He's not involved in the investigation, so shouldn't you have sent him away from the crime scene?
Well, I'm not saying it's because the fellow looks old or anything, or that he acts suspicious. But I thought it would be prudent to take a statement from the cohabitant.
Oh boy, here we go again. You nearly said culprit there, didn't you?
Oh dear. Mr. Natsume appears to be under suspicion again.
It certainly seems that way. He does just come across as such a odd fellow, doesn't he?
Poor man. How unfortunate.
I see his eye over there twitching just right now.
Anyway, I can't say much till the coroner gets here. But I don't think the fella's been a goner that long. But body's still warm.
Even if the inspector would allow it, I don't think I could bring myself to touch a dead body.
Okay, so I can't look at him, so.
What a terrible thing to have happened. Again.
It's only been 3 days since I was arrested for the incident on the pavement outside. And then, having finally regained my freedom, it starts happening all over again. Endless existence of excruciating experiences!
So, the victim lived here on the ground floor, and your room is just one story up, isn't it?
Interesting. They spell story with an E in there, and then Y? That's interesting.
Yes, that's right. In a way, we were neighbors, I suppose.
So did you know the victim? Were you friends? What's the matter with Soseki-san now? It's an innocent enough question, wasn't it? Why does he seem so shaken by it?
Well, I suppose he wasn't a complete stranger. But did he ever invite me to his room? Never! On my honor, I swear it!
What an extreme reaction. You're probably wishing you'd never asked now, aren't you, Mr. Naruhodo?
When we found him here, I felt wretched, which is why I sent word asking you to come. Throw that inspector over there!
Well? Oh, God. Mr. Holmes, what are you doing? He's striking a pose right behind him.
Mr. Holmes, what are you doing?
Ha! You need only observe to know it, my dear fellow. Investigating naturally.
There's nothing natural about that pose.
Mr. Holmes, have you made some miraculous discovery?
Patience, my dear madam, patience. We've not been here in this room 5 minutes. So far, all I've managed to deduce is what actually happened.
My goodness. But isn't that everything we need to know, Mr. Holmes?
Now that you propose the idea, I believe one could indeed see it that way. At the present time, I have managed to draw 2 incontrovertible conclusions. The first, that there was a physical struggle here last night in which the victim was fought for his life. Mr. Natsume, what's wrong? You're saying that Mr. Holmes said significant somehow? No, don't mind me. Forget I was here.
And my second conclusion is that there was a poison lingering in the air here last night that passed the victim's lips.
Nonsense!
His big old giant teethies.
All right, Mr. Natsume, why are you reacting so extremely to Mr. Holmes's deductions?
No, please. I'm not here. Invisible, ineffable, inscrutable, insignificant.
Impossible to ignore.
You must tell us everything, Mr. Holmes. Spare no detail.
Oh, is it Holmesy time? But of course. Let the theatrical tragedy of force be unraveled by my great deductions, presented for your pleasure in 2 acts. We've heard some truly astounding great deductions from Mr. Holmes in the past that I've had to fix, but you know, no doubt this will be no exception. Well, miracles will unfold before our eyes this time.
Oh God, here we go, guys. Gotta love the song that plays when they do this too.
So, my dear fellows, for your delight and wonder, let the curtain rise for Sherlock Holmes's Logic and Reasoning Spectacular, Act 1.
Oh, okay, it's a little different. The Scarlet Study, I think, said something of logic and deduction, I think, right? Showing of logic and play of logic and deduction. May the curtain rise for Sherlock Holmes's theater. It was a theater of logic and deduction. I know it was something of logic and deduction. So Logic and Reasoning Spectacular, Act 1.
Oh shit, here we go.
The game is afoot.
Cause of death. Behold.
Kip's observation of the victim reveals to us the events that transpired in this disconsolate room last night.
Oh, this man is fucking... I actually think he wore a mask when we saw him before. Oh! Soseki responded,
Foam at the mouth of the deceased clearly indicates the use of poison.
it definitely did look that way, actually.
Next to the victim, we notice a large dining plate which contains, you'll observe,
Butter? Cheese?
1/2 of a sizable bar of soap. Meaningful, indubitably. Why is soap set so purposely upon the dish? Like the victim's last supper, in fact. Yes. Could it be that the man was about to eat it? Of course. The fork reveals the answer.
Soseki looking at us directly. What the hell? Dude, you can't believe this shit coming out of this guy's mouth? The fuck is he talking about?
It appears the young man's appetite was his undoing. Taking up arms in the form of his cutlery, the victim engaged in a deadly battle for his life. Yet the struggle against his hunger was in vain, for in the end he couldn't resist devouring the slippery feast, yummy in his tummy. But London's foul soap was besmirched by foul poison. Yes, the victim's life was claimed by poison that tainted the contents of that plate.
My God, it makes so much fucking demon sense.
The soap and the lather about the young man's mouth are too perfectly matched to ignore. The cause of death was clearly intoxication due to excessive ingestion of foul soap. Though personally, I have a greater interest in the taste of foul candle wax, of course.
Oh, fuck me. Oh, God damn it. How do you do it? How do you do, Mr. Holmes, every fucking time? You God, you.
Topic 2. Suicide or murder?
The cause of death identified, we proceed to Act 2, where we ponder the next question. Was this suicide or murder? The audience will recall that death occurred during the victim's last supper. Did the man dine and die alone? This single teacup suggests the answer. Whew. To draw a conclusion on such meager evidence would be foolish, however, certainly. The careful criminal could have absconded with his own cup to cover his tracks. Well, allow me to lift the veil of doubt, my dear fellow.
Oh my God, I got to say.
Indeed, what reveals the answer, of course, is the broken lock.
Wait, really?
Though forced open now. At the time of the incident, this door was locked. And the sole key was in the victim's pocket. In other words, when the victim consumed the poison, he must have been alone. Alone with this inferior soap from whence wafted an inferior scent. And with that acrid aroma lingering in the air, the victim met his end, in tragic solitude. We can take comfort only in the fact that his soul was cleansed on its way to the hereafter.
He always ends it with a zinger.
Oh, I dare say. God damn it, Holmes, how you do this shit. You fucking God. You mastermind genius, you.
Thus concludes the final act of Sherlock Holmes's Great Deduction. Perfect. Yeah, I see nothing wrong with that. All right, guys, let's get out of here.
You know what? I mean, we could just try to save Soseki on some grief here, right? Maybe he did. Maybe he just sat down to a bar of soap and just got really hangry. Ate that shit right up. Died in fucking horrible pain.
Yeah, that's about what I expected.
There's just one thing, Mr. Holmes. You are disposed to identifying just one thing, aren't you, Mr. Naruhodo? Pray, what concerns you? Well, no matter how hungry he was, do you really think the man would have eaten soap? It is quite apparent this man had barely a penny to his name. It is a curious thing, but to one so destitute, soap can suddenly appear quite irresistibly appetizing.
How extraordinary.
In truth, I have tried a little soap myself in the past. You've eaten it, you mean? My dear fellow, it was some time ago now. Like 2 weeks. My postulation was that it would cleanse my gut.
And did it?
As I writhed in agony on the floor and split the contents of my stomach, yes, I believe it did. The experience taught me a valuable lesson. Soap is quite poisonous. It has an unpleasant taste and leads to great discomfort. In summary, I cannot recommend it. Believe me, I wouldn't eat it even if you did.
There's something that troubles me as well, actually.
Oh, what's that?
It's Mr. Natsume.
Ah!
I couldn't help but notice him shuddering and quivering out of the corner of my eye. Almost as if Mr. Holmes' deductions touched a nerve somehow.
Nonsense.
Well, that clenched teeth episode didn't last.
I think, judging by Mr. Natsume's reaction, the great detective's deductions may need some gentle corrections in order to reach the actual truth.
Yes, Mr. Holmes' observations and deductions are sometimes a little too sharp. He has a tendency to hit the nail on the side of the head and drive it in an obtuse angle. When he does that, it falls to us to straighten things out. All right then, let's see what we can do.
Yes, we must pick out the key words in Mr. Holmes' quite brilliant deductions, and discreetly exchange them for something that makes a little more sense. If we can do that, yeah, I'm sure we'll arrive at what Mr. Holmes meant to say in the first place.
In that case, are you ready for the second performance of the day? Once again, my dear fellows, for your continued delight and wonder, let the curtains rise. For Sherlock Holmes' Logic and Reasoning Spectacular, Act 1. Let's do it again. No, Mr. Holmes, it's my turn. Hold it, Mr. Holmes. Hoo-yah! Careful observation of the victim reveals to us the events that transpired in this disconsolate room last night. Foam at the mouth of the deceased clearly indicates the use of poison. Next to the victim, we notice a large dining plate which contains, you will observe, 1/2 of a sizable bar of soap, meaningful, indubitably. Why is this soap set so purposely upon the dish? Like the victim's last supper, in fact, yes. Could it be that the man was about to eat it? Of course, the fork reveals the answer.
Nani the fuck?
Well, you can't deny that a fork implies the man was eating something, or about to eat something.
Yes, that's true. If I were to decide to eat some soap, I should prefer to use a fork than attempt it with my chopsticks.
And of course, only half of the bar of soap is left on the plate.
But might there not be some other explanation? Something material that proves whether or not the man really ate some soap.
Something immaterial.
Burp, 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 burp. Other piece of soap?
Look, there's some soap on the floor here. Mr. Shamspeare must really have loved this stuff.
Let's not jump to conclusions, Mr. Naruhodo. Look at this soap. Do you see that it would fit together perfectly with the half bar on the table?
What the? How can that be?
I think that they are two halves of the same bar that broke apart.
All right.
Take that!
Take that! Other piece of soap. Boom!
Could it be that the man was about to eat it? Of course. The other piece of soap reveals the answer. It being the other half of the soap on the table. In short, the victim was not eating soap at all. But it's obvious, really, for no depths of hunger could drive any man to attempt to eat soap. Even I, with my unquenchable thirst for practical knowledge, took only a single bite. But that begs the question of how the man was poisoned, because there's no signs of any food on the table. An excellent observation, Mr. Naruhodo, one that furnishes us with the answer we seek. For London's foul soap is besmirched by foul poison. Yes, the victim's life was claimed by poison that tainted the contents of the plate. Mr. Holmes is still pushing the soap argument then.
Perhaps he's suggesting the man licked the soap rather than ate it.
If soap in London is that poisonous, I don't think I want to be washing my hands with it. But there are no signs of any food in this room at all.
Of course, food isn't the only thing that passes people's lips, is it?
Let's see. The drink.
Yes, a Western vessel for servings of infusions of dried tea leaves.
It's a teacup, Mr. Naruhodo, as you well know. Stop putting on airs. And it's empty.
Ah, so we've already established that the victim wasn't eating soap when he died. However, there's significant evidence to suggest that he was drinking tea.
My thoughts exactly.
Wait, is this something here? I guess not. Anyway, I guess let's go ahead and go with that. Take that! Boom!
Yes, the victim's life was claimed by poison that tainted the teacup.
Interesting. It didn't seem like there was actually really a tutorial for this one, right? It just seemed like it kind of glossed over it. It was just like, yeah, hopefully you still remember how to do this. I mean, I'm fine with it. I mean, I fucking know how to do this, but I just thought it was interesting. They didn't really go too deep into it.
Indeed, cups have been the vessel of choice for practicing poisoners over the centuries. And it would appear that this victim drank every last drop. There's no sign of food anywhere in the room. Which leads us to the immutable conclusion. The cause of death was clearly intoxication due to the ingestion of poison contained in this teacup. That's what I meant to say, yes. Poison in the tea. So actually, what I mean, I said it the whole time. Solved.
All right, Act 2.
Woo! The cause of death identified, we proceed to Act 2, where we ponder the next question. Was it suicide or murder? The audience will recall that death occurred during the victim's last supper. Did the man dine and die alone? The single teacup suggests the answer. Ah, the Western vessel for infused hot drinks again. So it's already featured heavily in our deductions so far.
Yes, we can imagine that shortly before his death, Mr. Shakespeare was having a drink of tea. There would be nothing remarkable about that. But what troubles me is Mr. Natsumi's reaction when he heard Mr. Holmes suggest it.
There's more to this deduction than it seems.
We must closely examine the scene of the crime again for some more clues.
It's empty. It's the only cup on the table.
It appears so, yes. When you consider those facts, Mr. Holmes' reasoning seems highly logical.
But it's always the same in these deductions. The real truth is always buried a little deeper than the great detective suggests.
Mr. Naruhodo, you seem very dubious of Mr. Holmes all of a sudden.
Figured I would talk about the dribble there, but I guess not.
Oh! It's another Western...
It's a teacup! And this, too, is empty.
Given that he's actually holding this one in his hand, we can assume that this is the cup from which Mr. Shakespeare is actually drinking. But if that's the case, this changes everything. Everything we do up to now is turned on its head. I have a bad feeling about this. I almost don't want to say it.
Yes, I know exactly how you feel.
Take that!
Take that! Boom! Means there's somebody else here with him.
Did the man dine and die alone? This other teacup suggests the answer.
Whoa!
Yes, there were 2 teacups in this room all along. Ah! In other words, this is a strong indication that at the victim's last supper, there was a guest present.
That looks like the juror guy with the top hat.
At the very least, we can say now with certainty that somebody else was here in this room last night taking tea with the victim.
What are you talking about? Utterly, unbelievably, unjustly, unreasonable!
Strong conclusion on such meager evidence would be foolish, however, certainly. In which case, what more can we deduce about this possible guest at the table? Well, allow me to lift the veil of doubt, my dear fellow.
Oh God, he's right behind me, isn't he? He's right fucking behind me. What's he doing?
Do you mean to say you know who exactly was in this room at the time of the victim's death? Indeed. What reveals the answer, of course, is the broken lock. I'm not sure I like where this deduction is going now.
I'm afraid it's too late to go back to the halcyon days of eating too much soap.
But the identity of the guest who was here in here last night when the victim passed away is something I have a very bad feeling about.
We can try to ignore your feelings, but we cannot ignore the truth, Mr. Naruhodo.
No, I suppose not. Time to look around again.
Oh dear, the latch is most definitely broken, isn't it? The door was kicked in by Mr. Natsume, according to what Mr. Garrett told the inspector.
Who knew his short, thin legs had so much strength in them?
I'm not sure the length of his legs is in any way significant here.
Perhaps this says more about the poor state of the door than about Mr. Natsume's strength, actually.
Careful. If you overheard that remark, he'd almost certainly have a lively response.
I don't know. Can this broken lock really tell us anything about who was here?
So actually look at stuff. I remember it would actually, you'll pick it up and examine it further. Oh, the bottle. Probably where the drink came from.
It's empty.
Empty of liquid, but full of air. That makes you think, doesn't it?
Makes me think that you're full of hot air. We should be thinking about who else was in the room at the time.
Bother. Suzuto-san's quip in response was cleverer than my original riddle.
Oh, the candle? Pile of books.
At first glance, it seems that the only things in this room are the makeshift stage and the costumes. I overlooked these 3 books initially.
Wonder what they are. Let's see. The titles read, The Picture of Monsieur Lecoq, Canterbury Yearnings, and A Meal for Gabois.
Wait, I'm sure I've heard those titles before.
It could just be an incredible coincidence, but they're the exact same 3 books that Mr. Natsume purchased the other day.
What? Yes, and on the day of the unfortunate incident when Miss Green was stabbed, Soseki-san had just been to a bookshop and bought them. That's right.
And those 3 titles are here in the room of the victim?
Yeah, Mr. Natsume claims never to have been here before. But what does this mean, do you think?
I really don't know what to make of it.
Pile of familiar books. Yeah, there you go. So you do have to examine it. You can't just immediately pick something. You gotta wait for them to comment on it.
Take that!
Take that! Oh, boom! That never gets old.
Indeed, what reveals the answer, of course, is the pile of familiar books. Quite so. It's no mere coincidence that these 3 titles are here in this room. It's the link to the truth.
Okay, here we go. They're about to spin around him.
Mr. Natsume, you purchased these books 4 days ago at a secondhand bookshop.
That's coincidence.
In that case, you will be able to bring the same 3 titles from your own room, will you not? This very moment.
No, never, not negotiable.
If you can't bring your own copies here, it proves that these 3 books are, in fact, yours. Having purchased the books
Pose here.
the 4 days ago and returned to your lodgings, you were arrested the very next day.
No, I'm in jail.
So you could conceivably have brought the books here on that evening, but you never mentioned that. In other words, you could only have brought these 3 books here to the victim's room.
Oh my God, there he goes.
Last night, having returned to your lodgings after the trial concluded at the Old Bailey.
Dead.
In short, there is only one possible conclusion. The victim died here in this room last night as a result of poisoning. In that same night, the victim had a visitor. And that visitor...
Here we go.
was you, Mr. Sasuke Natsume!
Whee!
Thus concludes the final act of Sherlock Holmes' Great Deduction.
Case closed.
Soseki Natsume at the scene.
Solved.
Deduction complete.
Elementary, my dear Naruhodo.
Fucking strike a pose. Charlie's Angel pose. Not again. Not again. Not again. Not again.
Well then, Mr. Natsume, you're going to jail again. We fear you're gonna have to accompany me down to the yard again.
But wait. Hold your horses.
Yeah.
Door, key, locked, entry, exit, entirely impossible. So flustered, he's being even stranger than normal.
What? You think that's an alibi? You could have just made a copy.
What?
You're living in the same building after all. You have had plenty of opportunity, I'm sure.
Misery me!
Sorry, sir. You'll get your chance, give your side of the story later. Yet again.
The facts speak for themselves, Mr. Mustache.
Oh, you horrible airlock Sholmes! Airlock Sholmes? That almost works because that is German. You horrible Sherlock Holmes!
Really has found himself in arch rival now, hasn't he?
That's right. That's right. Originally, also, Holmes was the one that arrested him. That's the other reason why he doesn't like him.
Go now, no dilly-dallying.
Of course, now he's pretty much the reason for it yet again.
Outside, there's a carriage waiting. A carriage waiting.
Look him soon, Mr. Naruhodo, Esquire. I never imagined I'd be in this position again, but you have to help me, please, please. I'm innocent.
All right, I understand. We'll come to your cell later and talk about it, just like before.
Oh, and one more thing.
Oh, yes?
My poor little kitty cat. Please give him his breakfast for me.
Aw, the kitty. And so, his evil curse still apparently unbroken. Seki-san found himself once again the prime suspect in a case of murder. Murder. Thanks to the incriminating deduction of the great detective.
What? It's not my fault.
My dear fellow, that honor belongs to you. Well, at least that means Inspector Gregson is no longer here. We can examine the crime scene in more detail now.
Yes, that's right. And of course,
What?
have you forgotten what the inspector mentioned before? It was the landlord, Mr. Gerdepp, who discovered Mr. Shamspear.
Mr. John Gerdepp, yes.
I expect we could find him in his sitting room on top of the floor as usual.
Getting tea poured on him by his lovely wife, dressed like a maid.
Right. We must remember to go and talk to him later then.
All right, guys. Well, I think this is probably a good place to end things here for now. Already liking it, man. This is so cool. Again, it's a continuation of one of the previous cases. At first it was like, I'm like, this is interesting, but is it just gonna be like, oh, we just have Soseki-san and we're doing it again? No, it's actually tied very closely to his previous case, which is great. That's the way you do it, right? If you're gonna bring him back again, have it be like a continuation. And the fact that it's the fucking dude, I swear to God, I think he had a mask on initially, but I think this is the guy that we saw for all of like 2 seconds in the previous game. So, very cool. Just to see like, oh, he was gonna play into something later. But anyway, guys, I hope you all enjoyed this episode. If you did, please leave a like and a favorite, and subscribe if you're not already got Biggie Penguin. Aboard the SLP, where the days are always sunny and the vids are always funny. And as always, guys, till next time, stay classy.